Had Elvis been alive, he would have owned one of these.
Greetings, fellow travelers.
Today I'm showing you my car that I'm pretty happy about. It's the last year for the big Cadillac rear-wheel drive V8 full-framed car. This is considered a D-body, which is a stretch version of the B-body, which includes the Buick Roadmaster and the Chevy Caprice, also Chevy Impala. 1996, the last year. It's finished in a very popular or well-liked color, Calypso Green, and some light, it looks blue, but it's a green. This car has less than 17,000 miles on it. I bought it from a flipper in California who bought it from the original owner from New York. And I don't think I've ever owned a car that is in such nice condition as this one. Had Elvis been alive, he would have owned one of these. But, you know, he's been dead since 1977. This is 1996, 19 years. But if he had lived, he would have probably owned this model Fleetwood. I bought this license plate back in the 80s, I believe, and I had it in my storage for all that time. But once I saw the color of this car, I decided this license plate's really going to look good on this car. It's got the blue and the green, so it kind of complements both the aspects of the color. In some light it looks blue, some light it looks green. So I think it all kind of goes together nicely. Besides, I'm an Elvis fan anyway, so wear my flag proudly. Here, baby. A lot of people expect to see a Northstar engine because they think maybe it's like the DeVille of the time. The DeVille being a unibody and a front-wheel drive car had the Northstar, but this has the LT-1 V8, also shared with all 94 to 96 Fleetwoods and Buick Roadmasters, and some of the all the Impalas and some of the Caprices had this LT-1. The standard engine for the Caprice was the smaller version of this particular small Chevy. I didn't bother to clean the car up or detail or anything, it's just as it is. But you can see underneath it's all very clean, other than the dust that's on it. The hardware all looks very nice. It's all original. I don't know how a guy can have a car for this long and only drive it 17,000 miles, but since the car's from New York, I'm thankful that he did not drive it much, because otherwise it would have been rusty. This car's so like new, even underneath, that the original factory stickers for the part numbers are intact. Typically on these Cadillacs, these fender well extensions are very brittle and they crack on most of them, but this car is all intact. You can see the suspension, the frame and everything is still very clean. Under the back here, The gas tank, you can see that the underneath the body, very little rust. You got some rust peeling here in that little area. And the gas tank straps show a little bit of rust. And so do the exhaust. See, the floorboards and everything's very clean. It's a clean machine. In fact, it's from Rochester. Now, there were two things about the car that when I bought it that lends me to think this guy liked to sit in it and play the radio. The reason being is usually at 17,000 miles, this doesn't happen yet, where the frame for this control center cuts into the vinyl when you keep on sitting down and getting in and out of the car. So I've had cars with far more miles on it that doesn't have this, but it doesn't have any wear on this cloth B-pillar from people letting go of the seat belt, and that keeps on smashing back in here constantly, and usually this wears out, but that has not been done. So basically, I think he sat in the car and played the radio. And the reason why I think he played the radio is because the antenna didn't work. It was broken. So I think he's an old man who had the car. He didn't want to drive it much, but he wanted to get away from the kids and the wife and all the noise. So he got in his car, he turned on the radio, and he rocked out. That's the only thing I can think of. So anyway, it has the optional chrome wheels. The standard wheels are on the Brougham or brushed aluminum. These are chrome. And also these spears here on the front and the rear fender are plastic with a Mylar chrome coating. The ones on the doors are actually metal. I think they're stainless or aluminum, chrome plated. And many of these side spears start bubbling and crinkling. In fact, I have this one crinkle here on this side spear. That's the only mark on these side spears on this car. There are no door dings, there are no chips or scratches on this car. Yeah, I guess you see a few rock chips here. That's probably from me driving at 120 miles an hour. That's about it though, a couple of them. See along this side there's no dings or dents or scratches, and these strips are in all excellent condition. This car's a little bit dirty, so I keep it in my garage, but here in Tucson it still gets very dusty just sitting in the garage. We'll take a look at the trunk here. Excuse me, I have my stuff in it. I didn't clear everything out. I have a car cover in case I ever have to park at the airport over the weekend. I have my Craftsman toolkit. And I have my jumper, my floor jack, and a bottle jack, and a little compressor to fill up the tires. I always take these with me when I go on trips. And I don't like using the little wrench they supply. I have a good tire wrench. The original equipment's still under the tire here. It's also a full-size spare. It's not the space-saving spare. The full-size spare is an option on this car. It's got the looking at the interior, it's you can still smell the leather. It smells new. Of course, these little trees give me a nostalgic. My dad always used these in his cars. But the leather actually smells stronger than these fresheners do. This car's never been smoked in. It's very, I don't know, it's a nice car. The reason I'm making this video it's not for sale. Of course, anything can be sale eventually. I'd sell anything eventually, but I have no plans on selling this car. The reason I'm making this video is because I noticed on my my channel that when I put a Buick up, very few people look at it, and for some reason, even my 1970 Buick electric convertible isn't getting that many hits. But whenever I put a Cadillac up, quite a few people are interested in it and they want to see it. So that's why I'm showing you this car. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about the cup holders. They're the most important part of a car, right? Also, it has the optional CD player. This particular unit is a 1 year only, one model only unit. Only 1996 Cadillac Fleetwoods had this particular type of unit. This was not available in the DeVille. This was not available in any of the other cars. And the 1993 to 1995 had a different radio, which had an amp in the trunk. This one has the amp included inside the head unit, like most cars do. So even the installation books for the companies that install custom radios, they still group the 93 to 96 radios all together, and you cannot use the instructions to install a 95 aftermarket radio for 9096. It's completely different setup, and there's no instructions for it. Nobody seems to understand that. Is there anything else I can say about the car? These are really, really nice road cars for taking long trips. Very comfortable, very quiet, very powerful. It's amazing how this thing gets up and goes, for considering how much it weighs, 4,500 pounds or something like that. Here you can see the original dealer here, Rochester, New York. I'm sure there'll be a few people watching who might even know this particular dealership. I had some people look at the car and say, "Oh, we used to live there. We used to buy cars there all the time." Oh. So it's apparently a pretty famous or big dealership in Rochester. I wouldn't know. I've never been there. So I'm thinking about tinting the windows here in Arizona. I'm fighting with that because I usually do, but this car is so nice. I'm really thinking I'm not going to tint the windows. I'm going to leave it stock, but we'll see what happens. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and use the comment section on my YouTube video. I'd be glad to answer questions. I tend to answer all the questions that I see on my videos, so at this point I don't get enough views to where it's a burdensome prospect. I try to communicate with everybody who wants to communicate on my videos. So anyway, that's about all I have to say about this car. I'm sure I'll think of 1,000 things after we're done filming here, but it's a beautiful car. So, and it's not for sale at this point.